Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. As usual, scroll down to skip past the morning pleasantries if you're not watching this live and you want to skip past the chit-chat. Good morning, everybody in the live room. There are lots of you in here already. That was fun. We actually just went live a minute ago on Instagram to show a little behind the scenes of the it was, I don't know. Why not? Because someone asked for it. You really don't want to see me putting on makeup every day. Trust me, it's not that exciting. But it was fun to do. A few people watched. No comments on there, but a few people watched. You never know what's going to come up in a live event. So, and people, it's funny because I was on the machine that we do the streaming from, and when I was showing the live from Instagram, and I was showing how we set up the screen, and I set up Ryan's account, and I typed something from Ryan, and everybody's giving him grief about it, which is fantastic, because they're saying that he's losing his mind, but it was actually me who's losing my mind, clearly. So let's see here, what else we got going on this morning. Ryan just saying he was set up. He wasn't. It was all his fault. Sarah's asking if I streamed from the iPhone mounted on my forehead. Yes, it's like you lick it, kind of lick the back, and you slap it on, and they stay. It's amazing how these work these days. And Martin's standing up for me, saying that I would never set up Ryan. That's right, Martin Pitt. You got that right, brother. I would never do that to him. I said some conversation about yesterday's discussion about the ban, apparent ban on the windshield mount. It's funny. It's someone in the chat mentioned that there is a ban in some states. We looked it up, and it was what, all but 3 states or something have the ban. So it's the majority of the country are not illegally allowed to do that. But of course, I'm sure they sell suction mounts pretty much every gas station across America for your iPhone. But whatever. That's why we labeled it my illegal vlogging, car vlogging setup, because in most states it is illegal. Whether you get in trouble for it or not, I can't help you there. Alrighty, yes, I did see an announcement of a new Sony camera. Looks like it's pretty awesome. If only I reviewed cameras other than Lumix, but I don't, so I won't. Let's see here. Faked Cube, could you explain the Instagram thing and how we're supposed to see it? You only saw photos. You know, okay, so Instagram Live, I don't totally get it myself, honestly. I'm just not hip enough. But when you go to, I can't plug it in now, but when you look at your Instagram screen at the top here, I could do this. Let's go here this way. That should work. Eventually, it'll work. There it goes. Okay, so across the top, hey look, there's my buddy Julio. These are stories, and if you were live, you would see me here with a little live badge on it. And that only happens when it's live. I think it's the only time you can see it, because once the show's over, I think it disappears forever. Maybe it stays up for 24 hours. I'm not sure, but I think it's just gone. Totally different. It's more like Snapchat, you know, because Instagram totally ripped off Snapchat. But that's it. That's where you can see it. Don't worry about it. You didn't miss much. Seriously. Let's see here. Brent says, did I see the GH5 firmware announcement releasing on the 24th? I did not. Oh, good. Well, that's cool. Good. They've announced a date. Excellent. Well, I will have to look that up. I'm not going to do it now. But yeah, that's great. Good to know. I will look into that, and we'll cover it on another show, because obviously that's going to be important stuff in there. Royal Grom, off topic, but do you play any video games? No, I am not a gamer. Much to my son's chagrin, I do not enjoy games. It's just I've never gotten into it. I could see getting into VR games or AR games. That seems like that could be really cool, but just in general games, I just can't get into it. I just haven't. So the answer is no. And Ryan's going to look up the announcement for me. Thank you very much. All right, let's, anything else I need to do? I think I'm all set up here. We're all ready to go. Let's just get the show started. Let's do this thing. Good morning and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live daily photo show on the YouTubes every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. It's all cool. If you're here live, you should be here live sometime, chit-chat and all that, and it's kind of fun. And if you're chatting with me, you can ask questions live. I can respond. We like the live thing. So let's, oh, there's a good question that just came up. Seriously, guys, you got like names I can read. Monk with zeros. It's like elite kids. Anyway, asking if I know anything about the Panasonic 8 to 18. Officially, all I know is that it was shown behind closed doors at another show, and I saw someone say that there was an announcement yesterday, but I haven't seen the announcement. So until I see it with my own blue eyes, I have nothing to say. If someone wants to drop a link in here, I can pull it up, and then I can say what I know, or don't know, or might not know, or might know about it. But otherwise, I know nothing. So there you go. And the Sony A9 is $4,500. Yeah, that's not a cheap camera. So it better rock for that price. All right, let's Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, and Simbam is saying, I need to get out of your head. You were just thinking you need to read the manual on how to use the C1 settings, the custom settings. Well, look at that. Here we are in your head today, live from Ashland, Oregon, climbing into your noggin and explaining how to use the custom function settings. Now, super important thing. I'm going to be showing this to you on a Lumix camera, but it's the same everywhere. You have the same functionality as, I know Martin appreciated my description in the description, that I said any DSLR or dSLM camera worth its weight in dental floss will have these custom function settings. Sometimes it'll just be one setting. You'll have a C and that's it, custom. The higher end Lumix cameras all have 5. There's C1, 2, and 3, but then C3 has 3 settings. So you have C1, C2, C3.1, C3.2, C3.3. Remember that. Which honestly, I'd be happy to get rid of some of these art modes and just have more physical dials to it, but hey, you know, you got what you got. So 5 custom function settings. Now here's the idea behind the C settings. And I think, I said in the notes, it's called something different on Nikon's, but it's all the same thing. They all do the same thing. The whole idea is that you can set up your camera however you want. Set up your frame rate, set up your size, JPEG, RAW, compress this much, color like this, the curves like that, whatever, set up everything the way you want it. And then save that to one of these custom slots. So let's say you save it to C1. And then you go and you set up your camera for something else. And now when you need that setup that you had saved into C1, it's one flip of the dial into the C1 position and all those settings are recalled. So this is super, super useful, right? If you are constantly or regularly shooting any particular type of setup where every time you go and you go, okay, I've got to set the camera, I got to remember to do this, I got to set it to that, got to set that, got to set that, got to set that. You got to change it and set it up. And you might be thinking, okay, but I don't do regular situations like that. Like I don't really need that because every environment that I do is different. Okay, but if you have similar environments that you go into, similar events, similar occasions, similar shoots, similar clients, whatever, you could at least have a starting point. Right? I'm going to go to C1, which is my starting point, and then I'll tweak it out from there because I know I'm probably going to change this a little bit, probably change that, but my basics are still going to be this, 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 and the other thing, which are different than what I do most of the time. So you really need to figure out whether you have a slot for this in your photographic life, but let me tell you how I use it. So I'm going to tell you one that I've set up on here, which I've already set up, and I'll show you because I needed it for a job, and then we're going to set up another one. So the one that I've already set up is HDR. HDR. So I do, you probably know, I do occasionally real estate stuff. I really don't do it that often, but occasionally I do real estate photography. Real estate photography, I've said this before, it's all about getting in and out of there as quickly as you can because there's very, very little money in real estate. So you want to have as little time dedicated to messing with the camera, to messing with the pictures afterwards as possible. So if you can walk into the situation, set your camera to see whatever, start shooting, and walk out and have pictures that are ready to share with the client, bonus, right? Well, if you're shooting real estate, if you've ever shot real estate or just looked at a real estate ad or MLS listing, you know that pretty much every indoor photo is HDR these days. And the reason for that is, of course, if you have your indoor scene and there's a big window here, you want to show what's outside the window, usually. You want to show what's outside the window, and of course you want to see what's in the house, and that is 2 dramatically different lighting setups, so you need to use HDR. The alternative is to light the interior, bring in lights, set them up, and shoot the interior lit, but that takes, that's money, right? That unless you get a really high-paying real estate job, you're not doing that. Okay, so HDR. So you could shoot your standard HDR, just shoot a bracketed sequence of 3 or 5 or 7 shots, whatever, and composite them later. But man, that takes time. I mean, even if you're using software where you can batch it, it takes time, right? I'd rather not have to deal with that. So what I do with the Lumix cameras, and I know Lumix isn't unique here, a lot of cameras do this, is I take advantage of the built-in HDR settings on here. Okay, so I don't need a custom function, I just set it to HDR and go, right? Well, there's a lot more to it than just enabling HDR. First of all, to enable HDR, I have to first disable RAW. Okay, so there's already a couple things, right? So I've got to set it to only shoot JPEG, and then I can enable HDR. Within HDR, there's custom settings. I can set it to automatically grab the sequence or grab a set number of sequences. I want to use auto because every lighting situation changes, and you know what? The camera does a really good job of choosing how wide the bracket should be. It shoots a 3-shot bracket and stitches them together automatically, merges them together automatically, and that works remarkably well. So I'm just going to leave it on auto. It has a auto align function where it can, if you're shooting handheld, it can automatically align. And what happens when you turn it on is you'll see the image punch into the shot a little bit because the camera is cropping into the sensor so that it has wiggle room to realign the frames if you're shooting handheld. When I'm doing real estate, I'm on a tripod, so I don't need that, so that's turned off. One of the big things that I want, that I never want normally, is to preview the photo immediately after taking it. See, normally the last thing I want is for my picture that I just took to show up on screen. That sounds like a horrible idea. But when I'm shooting this real estate, I've set the camera up, I'm adjusting the tripod head, make sure the frame is zooming it, make sure the frame is set up the way I want, level, it's all good. Hit the button, takes the picture, and I want to see that picture immediately. I don't want to have to hit play and see the picture. I just want it to come up because I can look at it and go, missed that, reset, take the picture again, or got it, nailed it, move on to the next one. Or what I will occasionally do, is I'll look at it and go, the HDR isn't quite there, or I'm not quite trusting it. It looks like there might be some blown highlights or shadows that are lost. So I'm now going to switch the camera into another custom function mode, and there I have it set up to automatically bracket a series of RAW files. So I have that as a backup. Or maybe I just do one RAW just as a backup, so I have something to pull from. Honestly though, even when I do that, it's super rare I go back to the RAW files. I usually use the camera's HDRs. So that automatic preview is an important part of it. The self-timer. So I could be shooting with a cable release. I kept the camera on a tripod. I've locked it in at a low ISO, I think probably 400 ISO I've locked it in at. I've locked it into, I might be aperture priority, I might have even set it to program mode. I don't remember how this one was set up. Usually I do aperture priority and set it to like 5.6 or f8 or something. And incidentally, because everything's electronic, if you're in, let's say you're in regular aperture priority mode and you're shooting at 2.8, and then you switch over to your custom mode where you had programmed in aperture priority at f8, aperture priority at f8 is where it jumps to, even if you already had the camera set to a different aperture. So all of that stuff, it just goes to everything automatically. So self-timer, because I'm shooting at a low ISO with stopped down quite a bit, I might end up having some long exposures. So I'm on a tripod anyway, but I don't want to be touching the camera at the instant of exposure. But I also don't want to hit the self-timer and wait for 10 seconds. So I've got the self-timer set to 2 seconds, which is saved into my custom mode. Push the button, wait 2 seconds, and it fires away. Pretty cool, right? So all of that is set up into here. So let's take a look at it. So we're going to use that later. Let's going to find a kind of, we'll see how good this works here. I don't know, it'll work. Let's go look at the camera. Here we go. So I need to turn on my HDMI view, info display on. There we go. So there's the info display. All right. So I'm in just regular aperture priority mode right now. I can go my shutter priority, whatever. And I'm going to switch this over to C3, which is where I have this set up. Screen goes black. It's coming back. I promise you. Come back, come back, come back. Come back, come back. Okay, we're going to switch back to this camera until it comes back. Oh, there it goes. Of course, as soon as I do that. There it goes. So now, all right, so I did set it up in program mode. Honestly, don't remember why I did that, but it's set up. Let's focus that. You can see, just looking at the screen there, you can see that it's set for HDR. You can see up in the top right, see, is that where it is? Yeah, in the top right, you can see that it's set to 4:3 large JPEG, JPEG only. You don't see the RAW number, RAW logo on there. AFS for autofocus single. I'm in the multi 225 focus area. So all of this is set up so that all I have to do now is push the button. Now, one other thing, if I look at the top of the camera here, because this is the GH5, my self-timer is on a physical knob. Now some cameras have the self-timer built into a digital settings. It's not on a physical knob. So the self-timer itself could be set up as part of your custom function. In this one though, I do need to change that. So there, now it's in self-timer mode. Okay, so self-timer mode. Let's go back to the camera screen here, reposition that and push the button. Couple second countdown. You heard all 3 shots there. It is processing. You can see, yep, you see the logo that it's processing, and there's the image. And I see it on screen, and I go, great, I'm done with that. I can now recompose and move on to the next shot. So all of that is built into it. Again, the HDR, the JPEG setting, the focus mode, the self-timer timing, the calling up the image after I shot it, bringing it up on screen and holding it, right? It doesn't come up for a few seconds. It comes up and holds it so that I can take as much time as I want to look at it. I don't have to worry about it if I'm studying it going, is it good enough? Or I'm looking at it and suddenly the image goes away, I hit play again. No, it's on hold. All of that is programmed in to the custom function setting. So next, I'm going to show you how to actually do one. Now that I've given you my primary use case, I'm going to show you my second use case, and we're going to actually build it, because I haven't built it into this camera yet. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the comments in here. Let me scroll back and see what's going on in the comments. Let's see here. Back to the people talking about the new camera and announcements. There's an announcement on DP Review. I'm assuming that's about the lens. Oh, here's a firmware announcement. Okay, I'll pull that up later, Ryan. We'll look at that at another show. And Sully is saying, I'm sitting here with the GH5 in hand and watching PhotoJoseph. Excellent, excellent. Glad you got your GH5 in hand. That's a great way to do it. And what else is going on in here in the chat? Not a whole lot here. A lot of conversation, nothing tagged, not much tagged for me. Remember, folks, if you want me to respond, just type @PhotoJoseph so that I see my name highlighted on the screen here. There's a lot of comments flying by. Or, of course, you can always hit that super chat button. Help support the show if you're learning something today, and that will really get my attention. Serge says, is it Serge or Sergey? Sergey. I don't know where you're from, so I don't know how it's pronounced, but let me know. I don't know how you're going to figure out a way to type that phonetically. Serge or Sergey. Or maybe it's something completely different. Anyways, it's saying, are the assignments of the custom function buttons also being saved in C modes? I think so. I think so. It's a good question, but I'm pretty sure they are, which is really cool. I hadn't even thought of that, but I'm pretty sure they are. We'll test it. So what he's asking is, are the assignments, whatever you assign all the custom function buttons to, right? So we're talking about the FN2, FN3. If what you assign those to, if that's saved in the custom function mode, which would mean you could have a C1 setup, say for video, and a separate one for photo, where all of your buttons do completely different things, whether you're in video or photo mode. We'll try it out. I'm pretty sure you can, though. I'm pretty sure that it does save that. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Flores is saying, I'm mostly shooting either with bright daylight or studio lights, and I find the GH5 light too light sensitive. I have to close the aperture. Do you have a solution? Are ND filters a good idea? Yes, ND filters are absolutely a good idea. This is, yeah, I mean, if you're shooting at a low ISO and you want to shoot wide open, ND filters are a great way to go. In fact, if you're shooting studio environment, like let's say you've got a lens like the Nocticron, 42.5mm f1.2, super shallow depth of field, or you want to shoot in a studio environment with the Nocticron. Well, I know that with my pro photos, if I take my bigger pro photo, which is the one that I can actually crank down to the lowest setting, it's like the 600 watt one I can do down to a 16th power, I think, whereas the 400 I can only do a quarter power. I think that's right. Anyway, the bigger one I can set to a lower power. But even that at its lowest power, with my octabox on it, it's still too bright to shoot at even, I think, ISO 200 at f1.2. So the solution to that would be either to put an ND filter on, or what I did was I knocked the light back even further by cutting out I have two octa shapes, what are they called, acetate sheets, that I can attach over my light to diffuse it even more. Crazy, but this is what you can do. So, but yes, a neutral density filter is a great way to do that. You'll want a good filter. I actually will be doing a show on ND filters because some people are asking about it. I put a call out on Twitter to say, hey, what's your favorite ND filter? I've got a few of them, but if you have one that you know and love, please tweet that to me. Don't put it here. Tweet it to me, and I'll see it there, and I'll add it to the list. And I'm going to request a bunch from B&H. We'll do a whole little roundup of them. It's going to be a little while before I do that, but I'm going to do that. Okay, Alexander, oh, there we go. Alexander says, what's a great native MFT Micro Four Thirds pancake at a reasonable price? I mostly use Canon lenses on my G7, but I'd like something small so I can keep the cam in my pocket. What did I have out here yesterday? It was a 14mm 2.8. Ryan, can you bring the G7, please? It is sitting on the couch on top of all the cables and gunk there. I'll show you the camera that I had up yesterday that I used for my in-car vlogging setup. I think it was the 14-2.8 lens. It's a really thin pancake lens. That one's pretty awesome. You know, it's not the sharpest lens in the world, but it's inexpensive. It's super lightweight. So if you want to keep the camera super lightweight, that's a great way to go. Thank you very much. So here it is. G7, so that's the G7 with, that's the same camera you're talking about. It is a 14 f2.5. So let's get this thing into frame here. Find the framing, there we go. Hold that thing level. So there's that camera. So there's the Lumix G7 with a 14mm f2.5, and you can see that is, I mean, it's, look, the battery grip almost hides it, right? It's that pancakey of a lens. So this is a really super lightweight, low profile lens. I don't know if this is still, you'd have to have pretty big pockets to, but even cargo pant pockets, that would totally fit. So it's a nice little lens. It's great, and it's inexpensive. I don't remember how much it is, but it's inexpensive. We linked to this in yesterday's show, so if you want to look at that lens, go to yesterday's show, scroll down in the description, and you'll find it in there. Okay. And Serge says both Serge and Sergey are fine. Well, there you go. Then I'm going to say Serge, because that's what I think when I see it. Let's see. Joel is saying, do you have Moray on the 180 FPS or any other frame rate in VFR? Okay. Do you think the Moray, sorry, on 180 FPS or any other frame rate in VFR could be improved? Okay, so one of the things about the GH5 is that it is lacking the anti-aliasing filter, which means on the upside you get sharper images, on the downside you're more likely to get Moray. So you need to, there's nothing you can do about it in camera except to blur it a little bit, which obviously you don't want to do. You want sharp images. So it's really a case of subjects that Moray. I know that's not a great answer, but it was a trade-off, and I'm glad that they did it. I have the GX85, which was the first Lumix camera that removed the anti-aliasing filter, and the added sharpness has been beautiful, and it's very rare that I've run into any Moray problems. If you're running into it all the time, that's a different story. I don't know what to tell you, but that is one of the features of this camera, is the lack of that anti-aliasing filter. So that's why you're getting that. Sheila says, I was looking at the XLR1 on Amazon and saw the Panasonic team answering yes to a question, will it work with the GH4? That's not likely. Okay, Sheila, drop that in a comment later. I would like to look into that. I really doubt that's right. And I don't think Panasonic is monitoring the comments on Amazon. So yeah, I'd be surprised. It'd be great. I mean, that'd be really cool if it does, but I don't think it's going to. Martin saying, how do you change the SD cards in the GH5 for continued recording while on a tripod, whilst recording and not making the camera shake? Very carefully. Really solid tripod, because yeah, of course you are at that point moving the camera. I mean, you can be, okay, well, number one, I would leave the door open, right? You don't have to open and close, you don't have to close the door. So unless you're in a crappy environment, then just leave the door open. So that's your biggest shake. I mean, that's a big, because it's a really solid door because of the weatherproofing. So I would leave the door open. And then from there, I mean, it's very gentle. Let's see here, let's get this into frame here. Let me try and figure out how to do this here. We reposition this and point the lens at it. There we go, that'll work. Okay, so now this is open. If I'm gentle, I mean, that's not gonna move the camera. Just be gentle about it. Again, you're gonna wanna be on a really solid tripod, but this, just leave the door open, because that is definitely, that's a big pop right there. So I would leave that open, and I think you'll be just fine. That is what I would do. That's how I would do it. If you're still getting shake, I don't know. I mean, if you're still getting shake, I'm not sure what else you can do to mitigate that, but that is how I would handle it. Cable's all over the place now. Okay. I think that's that. Last one, small tip. Press ISO button and then display. Okay. He says press ISO button and then display. Oh, so you can change, all that's doing is swapping the, whether the ISO or the upper limit is controlled by the top or back button. Is that what you're talking about? That's all it's doing on here, so I'll show it up on screen. So I've got here, let me reset it, I hit the ISO button. Now as I hit display, you can see on the top and bottom right side of the screen, the dial's just swapping. So if that's what you are talking about, that's cool, I suppose, but it's, I mean, it kind of makes sense to me that the bottom one's on the back and the front one's on the top, but maybe there's something else I'm missing. All right, last questions, then we're gonna move on. Ben5 Shuttle says, when you're doing real estate interior shots, what do you do about white balance? Use a custom white balance. No, I use auto white balance because it's always changing. Every room is different. The amount of daylight, the amount of incandescent light, whether they've got fluorescence or whatever lights in there, LED, every room is different. So I just leave it on auto white balance. And you know what? It works. It's just fine. What I used to do on the GH4, when I was using this for real estate, is in the white balance, I had pulled a little bit of green out. So in the, if we go into white balance, and let's see, there's the adjust button, so I push down to adjust. I had pulled out a little green. It was something like this, because I felt that the HDR images were a little bit green, but with the GH5, I don't feel that way. They don't have that green cast to them, so I haven't had to do that. So I think it's just a better HDR implementation in the GH5. Trevor's saying to reduce camera movement on a tripod, make sure you have a good anti-twist QR for hot swapping video cards. QR, I don't know what that means. Yes, the swapping is the tip. The swapping is the tip. Okay, thank you, Serge. So swapping is the tip, that's good. Trevor, I'm not quite sure what you're saying about what an anti-twist QR is. Oh, quick release. Oh, anti-twist quick release. Yeah, if your quick release head is the problem, if that's what's moving, make sure that thing is really locked in there, or put it on a head that doesn't have a quick release like the one I've got here. Other options. So, all right, so there's that. I wanted to show you something real quick. We just released, right? It was just an hour ago, we released a new podcast. This is the 3rd episode of season 2. This is Capture One Pro. So it's a whole discussion interview with the guys from Capture One Pro. So you can get a kind of deep dive into some of the latest and greatest and hottest features on the app. So this is a fun podcast. If you haven't checked this out yet, you can find it on iTunes. Of course, just search for Photo Apps Podcast or search PhotoJoseph and you'll find it. Or you can also watch it via YouTube. It's on this channel on YouTube. And of course, it is embedded on the photoapps.expert website. So if you haven't seen that podcast, do subscribe to it, please. It's a video podcast. We also have an audio version. Both of those are available on iTunes. On iTunes, you get a full 1080p video, 720p video, or an audio version. Subscribe to whichever one you like, whatever makes you happy. The audio one, obviously, you're going to kind of miss something because it's really a video show, but it's there if you want to have the audio version. All right, let's move on to the show. And hello, everybody, saying hello from Denmark. Awesome. And someone's asking, how did the poll go yesterday regarding the GH5 guide? 50% is saying they would buy it. So that's good. And then something like 25% were said maybe, and then the other 25 were saying no. So that's great. And obviously, this audience isn't exclusively GH5 viewers, so I think that's pretty good numbers. I'm gonna do it. I'm just contracted with Linda, so I'm doing it. Okay, back to the custom function thing. So now we're gonna set up one of the custom functions. So here's the basic idea of what you wanna do. You set the camera roughly how you want it, and then save that to a custom function. And then switch the camera into that custom function and tweak it and adjust it and refine it and get it exactly what you want, and then save it over itself. You save it, so say you're using C1, that's what we're gonna use today. Save it over C1. And then anytime you're out using that C1 mode and you go, oh, I'm gonna make this change. I'm gonna make this a little bit better if I change this, make that change, and then don't forget to save it back over into the C1 setting again, so the next time you pull it up, it's there and waiting for you. Obviously, if you're making a temporary change, oh, I love this setup, but for this shot I wanna change something, you don't wanna overwrite the settings. You don't wanna change that permanently. That's just a temporary thing. The cool thing too about the C1 or the custom settings, so I go into C1 and I change something. I change the aperture, I change the shutter release delay, whatever, I change something. When you go out and back into the C1, it always goes back to the way it was saved, not the way you last had it. So it's an important thing to remember, right, that it does go back to the way you had it saved, but this is, of course, the whole point of it. So you just need to remember that when you're working with it. Now, the reason that I say to kind of start setting it up, pardon me, and then save it, and then finish setting up and save over it, is twofold. Number one, if you do a complete setup and then save it to a C1, now your main camera settings are in that other setting, so now you have to undo the complete setup, which can be kind of annoying. And number two is because once you're in the custom mode, one of the things you cannot change is what shooting mode you're in, whether you're in aperture, shutter priority, program, or manual. That is something you cannot change once you've saved it. So really the most important thing to do is set the camera into one of the PASM modes, program, aperture, shutter, or manual. I know on a Canon it would be the AVTV, whatever, you know what I mean. Shutter priority, aperture priority, full auto, or manual. Set it to there, and then save to a C setting, go into the custom settings, and then go to the custom setting and tweak it around. Okay, so I want aperture priority, so that's what we're gonna start with. So the camera is now set to aperture priority, and wait for the screen to come back on, and then we will switch over to it. All right, so there we go. Let's switch over to this view. So the camera's in aperture priority. I'm gonna get out of the self-timer mode as well, and that's the most important thing. You know what? Aperture priority, that's what I'm gonna save. So let's start this off. So I go into the wrench mode, and it says custom set memory, and now I can choose where I want it. So you see 5 presets. We're gonna go to C1, and it says, do you wanna overwrite the current settings? Even if you've never saved anything, it's gonna still say that, so don't worry about it. I hit yes, and it is now completed. Okay, so now I'm gonna rotate the camera dial. I'm gonna switch back to this because I know we're gonna lose the screen for a moment. Rotate the camera dial back to C1. Wait for the screen to wake back up. And the only reason it's taking time to wake up is because of the HDMI out for this. Normally it's instant, like changing any other mode. Okay, so now we're in the C1 mode. Let's go back into this. So this is now C1 mode. So now I'm gonna make some changes. The change that I'm gonna set up here is for black and white. I love shooting black and white. I love shooting black and white in camera. I love this because I can see the image in black and white through the electronic viewfinder. So cool. Can't do that on a Canon or Nikon, sorry. That's a mirrorless thing. Love being able to do that. I love that I can adjust the curve to get really crunchy blacks. I love that I can add the color filter in there. I can do all of these things in camera, shoot a black and white that is exactly the way I want the black and white to be. But hey, I also got the raw file in color if I decide I want to change that later. Or I just go, you know, this picture would have been better in color. I've got both. Love that. So that means that I need to have RAW plus JPEG enabled. I need to make sure that my black and white is set up the way I want, and so on. So we're going to set all that up. Alrighty. Let's go into, actually, here, before we do that, let's go into the RAW plus JPEG settings. So let's rotate through here. This is my custom setup. Yours does not look like this, and that's fine. I will be saving my custom settings soon, sharing those soon. Okay, so here's the quality setup. I need to make sure this is set to RAW plus JPEG. Okay, RAW plus fine, excellent, so I got that. And then I want to go black and white. So let's go to, let's see, I think it's in here. Yeah, photo style, natural, not monochrome. Okay, so there's monochrome. Now I've got other settings I can do. Do I want to have low contrast, high contrast, neutral? I'm actually going to leave the contrast neutral because I'm going to play with that using the curves. Sharpness, let's bring up the sharpness a bit. Can't hurt. Noise reduction, I'm going to leave that off. And color tone obviously doesn't matter. And then filter effect. So I set up a color filter board here. Wrong side. I set up a color filter board here so that, because I think this would be kind of fun, so that I can go in here and, of course, I hit focus and lost that setting. Let's go back in to here. Here we go. So I can go through the different colors and you can see what's happening, right? So there's off, there's a yellow filter, orange filter, red filter, green filter, and off. So let's see here. Let me go to color view. So there you can see the colors. So let's say that I'm shooting a lot of landscapes and I really want to have very rich dark skies. So I want my blues, my 3 blue tones, to be as dark as possible. Okay, so let's go towards, go back to monochrome, and then go down to my filters. And remember, it's this tile, and that tile. Those are the ones that I'm looking at that are blue. And so as I go through, I find red makes those all really dark. Green makes them really light. So if I want pale skies, green will work out. Off, that's neutral. Yellow's pretty neutral, but there's orange and then red. You see orange and red, you can really see how the blues are getting affected, but especially with the red. So that's the one that I want because I like those rich skies. So I'm going to save that. Okay, cool. So I set that. Let's see here. Filter settings, those are the in-camera filters. I don't want any of those. Color space is fine. Metering is fine. Highlight and shadow. This is the other one I wanted to change. So I want to go in here and I can use one of the custom, or one of the presets in here, or I can just do it manually. So I'm going to I love crunchy shadows. Let's crunch that down and bring the highlights up. I don't want to go too high on the highlights, but we'll bring it up like so. I think that's pretty good. All right. So it's looking pretty good. Now I've got zebra striping on at 100, and at 100 I see that I am a little bit overblown. So I actually don't know if this is going to save. We're going to find out. I'm going to bring it down 2/3 of a stop because I feel like it's overexposing. And this may not be accurate. I'm not metering off of a gray card here, but this should be pretty accurate. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to save that into the settings. So minus 2/3 of a stop underexposed. And this is it. I'm happy with this. So now I go into my custom set memory, save it to C1, override it, and we're done. So now when I go back to my regular mode, so I go back to aperture priority, and we come off of this screen while we're waiting for this to wake back up. Waiting, there it goes. So that's back up. And now I'm in regular aperture priority. So I got my color back. You see I'm only shooting JPEG in here, which is obviously a mistake. We definitely don't want that. So let's go and just shoot RAW. I always want RAW plus JPEG. So that's in there. And you know, I'm back to natural color. It's all set. And then I just switch over to C1. And I gotta stop switching before I turn the camera off. C1, C1, C1. Here we go. And there we go, my black and whites are back. And yes, look at that, the minus 2/3 is saved into there. So I'm now at a starting point that's ready to shoot black and white the way that I want it. Pretty cool, right? That, my friends, is the whole point of the C1. So again, to recap, make sure that you've set what mode you want it to be in, PASM, write that to a custom function setting, and then continue. Same thing goes for the video. If you're in the creative movie mode, that's the camera M mode on the top of the camera, through the software interface, you have to choose whether you want to be in PASM mode. You have to set that first and then save it to a custom mode, and from there, everything else you can change within the custom mode. So that's it. That's how that works. What do you think? Kind of cool? I think it's cool. I love it. I use it all the time. I think it's awesome. So now I've got my black and white set up the way I want it, which I just hadn't set up before. I said custom function instead of custom mode. Custom mode, you know what I'm talking about. Custom function, custom mode, custom. It's all custom. A florist is saying a show about ND filters would be very nice. I will do it. I now ordered cheap ND filters that got good reviews as my first ND filters. Oh, good. Well, florist, tweet that to me, please. At PhotoJoseph, tweet that to me what brand you got, and assuming that you like them. You said you just ordered them, so maybe you don't have them yet, but just tell me anyway. I don't care if you have them or not yet. Just tell me what you got. If they have good reviews, that's awesome. I will stack them up against the other ones. We'll do what we can. Righty, what else is going on here? Anything else in the comments? Scrolling. Nothing else in there. I think that is cool. I hope you guys, no, we're asking about the custom function buttons, whether those get saved to the custom mode. Let's find that out. I'm gonna try that right now. All right, I am going to, how do I wanna do this? Okay, here's what I'll do. So I'm in C1 now. Let's go back to this mode. So I'm in C1. I'm gonna reprogram my FN2 button, which currently, what does it do? Currently, it's not doing anything because it's set up for video. Okay, FN3 brings up the autofocus mode. Okay, I'm going to reprogram FN3. So hold this down. I'm going to set it to go, no, let's not do that. Let's go to, what do I want to do? Not a white, but let's go to zebra pattern. Perfect. Okay, so FN3, I've just reprogrammed to zebra pattern, and the camera is currently in C1 mode. I'm now going to save that to C2, which I haven't used yet. So now I have C1 is basically replicated to C2, the only difference being the custom function button. So now I'll switch over to C2, hit FN3, and it's toggling the zebras. Go back to C1, hit FN3, and it's got the focus. So there you go. There's the answer to that question. It absolutely does. The custom functions do save into a custom mode. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Good. Good question. Thank you for asking that. Super question. All right. Nothing else scrolling by on here on comments for me. So let's wrap this thing up. I do want to remind you guys of this. I should have brought this up yesterday when I talked about it, but this sale is nearly over. It's only got a couple days left, but this is the big Panasonic B&H. Oh, it's actually everywhere. It's not just B&H, but the big B&H sale. We'll make sure to put these links down below. Ryan, don't forget to put these links down below. And the big deals were the GH4, the GX8 and the G85, great save. Was it $300, $200, and $100 savings? And then the other big one, and don't forget the G7, which I don't have on a slide. The G7 is on there to discount as well. And then these were the really big ones. The 35 to 100 f2.8 original lens, so the Mark 1 lens is $400 off. That's remarkable. The 12 to 35 original Mark 1 version is $300 off, and then the Nocticron is $200 off. So great savings all the way through there. So don't forget about those. If you're in the market for any of those guys, do check those out. Don't forget to check out the podcast, please. Capture One Pro is the latest of the Photo Apps podcast. Again, you can subscribe in iTunes. Subscribing is obviously the best way to go. And then tomorrow's show is going to be, oops, come here, get that in the right slide. There we go. Tomorrow's show is the how can you simultaneously capture 24p and 60p, which is just awesome that you can do that. So we're going to be talking about that as tomorrow's show. So that, my friends, is all I got for you today. Martin saying you learned a lot today. Too bad you can't put it into practice because it doesn't have his GH5 yet. Sorry, buddy. That's the way it goes. But hopefully you'll get yours soon. And that's that. All right, folks. Thanks a bunch. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.